Explosions shook the ground as two alien clans fought in the city streets. In the center of the chaos, a huge alien figure stumbled, clutching his side. His tall frame was covered in silver armor, now dented and cracked. His dark green skin glistened, with blood. This was King Ralvor, ruler of the Vurak clan, proud, fierce, and feared across the stars. An enemy's plasma shot had torn through his armor during a surprise attack. His guards shouted orders, forming a shield wall around him. "Get the king to safety!" one of them yelled. A sleek shuttle landed nearby. The guards lifted the wounded king aboard, the engines roaring as they blasted away from the burning city. Far from the battle, in the quiet orbit of Talros 7, a small human-run medical outpost floated among the stars. It was simple, a cluster of white and gray modules, barely enough for a team of 5. It had no weapons, only scanners, healing rooms, and a landing pad. Inside, Tom, the chief human medic, was checking medical scanners. He was tall and lean, with steady hands and calm. Brown eyes. Years of experience had taught him to keep his voice calm even when things looked bad. The radio crackled. "Emergency incoming," a voice called. "VIP patient, critical condition." Tom frowned. A VIP usually meant trouble. The outpost often treated traders and miners, but rarely someone very important. He sent a message back. "We're ready. Bring them in." Moments later, the shuttle docked. The doors slid open and a rush of hot, metallic-smelling air entered the outpost. Several armored aliens stepped inside, carrying King Ralvor on a heavy stretcher. Tom's first thought was how massive the patient was, easily twice his height. His second thought was how much blood the alien had lost. "What happened?" Tom asked. "Plasma burn, deep. Near the heart," a guard said quickly. Tom didn't waste another second. "Bring him to the main bay. Now." Inside the medical bay, Tom quickly scanned the wound. The alien's armor had melted into the flesh. The king's breathing was shallow, his eyes half closed. "His blood pressure is crashing," Tom told his assistant, a young human named Mara. "We have to remove the armor fragments before it poisons him." "Alien medics from the king's." Ship stepped forward. "Human, your tools will not work on our king," one said in a deep, rumbling voice. Tom didn't even look up. "If you want him alive, you let me work." The alien hesitated, then stepped back. Tom began the procedure. He used human surgical lasers to cut away the armor, then a special gel to stop the bleeding. His hands moved quickly but with care, as if every second mattered, and it did. The heart monitor beeped rapidly, then slowed, then steadied again. The alien medics watched in silence. They had advanced tech, but Tom used methods they had never seen. Methods focused on speed, precision, and improvisation. After nearly an hour, the worst of the damage was repaired. Tom placed a breathing mask over the king's face and adjusted the IV lines. "He's stable," Tom said at last, wiping sweat from his forehead. "But he'll need rest. No movement for at least a week." The alien guards exchanged looks of relief. One of them, clearly a commander, stepped forward. "You have saved our king. We do not forget such things." Tom just nodded. "I did my job. Keep him calm, and no more battles for a while." Over the next days, Tom checked the king's condition regularly. King Ralvor, though proud, was not a man to waste words. At first he barely spoke, but after 3 days, his deep voice finally broke the silence. "You are human," he said slowly. Yes, Tom replied. Name's Tom. I have fought beside many species, the king said. Few work as you do. You do not panic. You do not ask for reward. I'm not here for rewards, Tom said simply. Just keeping people alive. The king's eyes narrowed, as if studying him. Strange. Most want power or wealth. Tom smiled faintly. I want my patients breathing. That's enough. On the seventh day, King Ralvor stood, against Tom's advice, and walked across the medical bay. His strength had returned faster than expected. My people believe in life debts, the king said. You saved my life. I will repay you, in a way you will not forget. Tom raised an eyebrow. If you want to send supplies, our station could use... The king lifted a hand. Not supplies. Something greater. Before Tom could ask what he meant, the king left with his guards. The shuttle's engines roared, and they were gone. For the next 2 days, the medical outpost returned to normal. Tom almost forgot about the king's promise until the radio crackled again. This is the royal vessel Iron Fang. We request docking. Tom sighed. Another important patient, he muttered. When the shuttle doors opened, it was King Ralvor himself, standing tall in polished armor. But he was not alone. Beside him was a young alien woman with sharp eyes and crossed arms, and a small boy clinging to her side. The king stepped forward. Tom of Earth, this is my daughter, Princess Nira, and her son Leo. They are yours now. Tom blinked. Excuse me? You saved my life, the king said. They will serve you, protect you, and live under your roof. This is my life debt to you. Nira's eyes burned with anger. Father, she began. Silence, the king said firmly. Then to Tom, you will find them useful. Before Tom could argue, the king turned and walked back into his shuttle. The engines roared and the ship disappeared into the stars. Tom stood there staring at the princess and the boy, wondering what in the galaxy had just happened. One moment King Ralvor had stepped off a royal shuttle, and the next he had left behind his daughter and grandson as if they were part of a trade deal. The young alien woman, Princess Nira, stood with her chin high and arms folded. Her armor was lighter than her father's, but still sharp-edged, marked with royal symbols. Her eyes, bright gold in color, watched Tom like he was some strange animal. The boy beside her, Leo, was small and thin, perhaps 6 or 7 years old. His skin was a softer shade of green than his mother's, and his gaze darted around the medical outpost with nervous curiosity. Tom tried to break the awkward silence. So, I guess you're Nira? The princess did not answer. Instead, she looked toward the docking bay doors, as if expecting her father to come back and take her away. But the king's shuttle had already vanished into the blackness of space. Mara, Tom's assistant, came in carrying a tray of medical tools. She stopped mid-step when she saw the pair. Did we just get guests? Tom rubbed the back of his neck. Guests is one word for it. Finally, Nira spoke, her voice low but firm. We are not here by choice. My father believes in life debts. He thinks you have earned us. Tom frowned. Earned you? That's not how humans work. People aren't gifts. She gave him a sharp look. In my clan, loyalty is proven by service. You saved the king, so I must serve you. But do not think I will fetch your tools or clean your floors. I wasn't going to ask you to, Tom said calmly. I'm not your owner. You're free to do what you want." Nira narrowed her eyes, suspicious. She clearly didn't understand his way of thinking. Over the next few hours, Tom tried to make them comfortable. He showed them the small guest room in the outpost. 2 bunks, a table, and a storage chest. It was modest, but clean and quiet. Leo peeked at everything with wide eyes. He touched the smooth metal walls, the glowing control panels, and even the glass water dispenser. "Why is the water cold?" he asked. Tom smiled. "Because cold water tastes better." The boy tilted his head. "In the palace, water is warm. Warm water means power." "Well," Tom said with a shrug, "out here, we drink cold water because we can." Nira stood in the corner, arms still folded, watching the exchange with silent judgment. Life in the outpost was calm compared to the royal court. The days were filled with treating miners, traders, and travelers who came in with burns, broken bones, or alien illnesses. Tom handled the medical work while Mara assisted. Nira spent most of her time pacing the docking bay or standing at the observation window, staring at the stars. She refused to help with patients, claiming she was no healer. When Tom asked about her skills, she replied sharply, "I fight, I protect, I do not mend wounds." "Sometimes protection is just another kind of healing," Tom said, but she ignored him. On the 4th night, trouble arrived. A shadowy figure slipped into the outpost through the docking bay airlock. The sensors didn't beep. The intruder had used some kind of jammer. Tom was in the supply room checking inventory when he heard a faint metallic clatter. He stepped out into the hall and froze. A tall alien smuggler was stuffing medical packs into a bag. "Hey!" Tom called. "Put those back!" The smuggler turned, pulling a shock blade from his belt. "Stay out of this, human!" Before Tom could move, a blur of motion shot past him. Nira. She moved with deadly speed, her armor plates glinting in the dim light. She struck the smuggler's wrist, sending the blade spinning across the floor. Then she kicked his leg, making him stumble. The smuggler tried to grab her, but she twisted free and slammed him into the wall. Leo, watching from the doorway, gasped in awe. Tom hurried to activate the emergency lock, sealing the docking bay. Within minutes, station security, a pair of local patrol officers, arrived to take the smuggler away. After the danger passed, Tom turned to Nira. "That was impressive." She shrugged as if it was nothing. "I protect what is mine. Even if this place is strange," Mara whistled softly. "Remind me not to get on your bad side." Leo ran up to his mother. "That was amazing! You were like lightning!" Nira's hard expression softened just a little as she patted his head. "Stay close, and you will learn." From that night onward, Tom noticed a small change. Nira still didn't help with medical work, but she began patrolling the halls during late hours. She inspected doors, checked the cargo bay, and made sure the outpost's outer lights stayed lit. Leo spent more time near Tom, asking questions about human customs. He was especially interested in Earth's animals. "Do you really have flying creatures called birds?" he asked one day. "Yes," Tom said. "Some are small, some are big. Some can fly across whole oceans." Leo's eyes widened. "I want to see one," Tom smiled. "Maybe one day." Still, tension remained between Tom and Nira. She often challenged his decisions, asking why he would treat strangers for free or give away medicine without demanding favors. One day, she told him, Someone will take advantage of your kindness. Maybe, Tom said. But if I help 10 people and one betrays me, I still helped 9 who needed it. That's worth it. Neera didn't reply, but her expression was less sharp than before. One evening, as Tom checked the docking schedule, a new message arrived from the nearby colony of Arvin 4. It was urgent. A dangerous sickness was spreading fast, and their clinic was overwhelmed. They needed any medical help they could get. Tom looked at Mara. "We have to go." "I'll get the med packs ready," she said. From across the room, Neera spoke up. "If you go, I go. My son goes where I go." Tom hesitated. "It's a disease, outbreak. It could be dangerous." Neera met his gaze without fear. "Danger is nothing new. I will protect you and your people." Tom studied her for a moment, then nodded. "All right, but we work as a team." For the first time since she arrived, Neera gave the smallest hint of a smile. The journey to Arvin 4 was about to test them all. Tom checked the shuttle's systems while Mara loaded crates of medical packs and portable scanners. The hum of the ship's engines filled the docking bay. Neera arrived in her light armor, Leo close behind with a small bag slung over his shoulder. The boy's eyes were bright with excitement, but his mother's face was all business. She carried a long, curved blade across her back, its polished surface reflecting the dim light. Tom noticed. "You think we'll need that?" "You heal. With tools," Neera replied. "I protect with mine." He didn't argue. Inside the shuttle, the seats were narrow, the air recycled. Leo pressed his face to the small window, staring at the stars as they streaked by. Mara sat opposite him, checking her data pad. "Ever been off station before?" Mara asked Leo. "Only in the royal ships," the boy said. "They are bigger and warmer. This one's built for work, not comfort," Mara said with a grin. Neera sat silently, arms crossed. Her golden eyes scanned every panel, every corner of the shuttle. Tom guessed she was looking for weaknesses. The mind of a protector never rested. The trip was smooth until the warning alarm blared. The navigation screen flashed red, asteroid field ahead. Tom quickly adjusted the controls. "Hang on, it's going to get bumpy." Small rocks scraped the hull with sharp metallic sounds. One larger chunk slammed into the side, making Leo grip his mother's arm. Neera's hand moved to steady him without a word. Tom steered carefully, weaving between floating stones. Sweat dotted his forehead. At last, the ship broke free into open space again. Mara let out a long breath. "I hate those." "Stay ready," Neera said. "Dangers come in threes." Tom gave her a sideways look. "Is that a proverb?" "It is experience," she answered simply. When Arvin 4 came into view, it was nothing like the royal cities Neera once knew. The colony was built low to the ground, surrounded by dusty plains. The air shimmered with heat from the twin suns. Tall metal towers rose like spears, but most buildings were plain gray blocks. They landed near the colony's clinic, where 2 tired-looking alien nurses rushed to greet them. "You came," one said, relief in her voice. "Half the town is sick. We've lost 3 already." Tom's face hardened. "Show me the worst cases first." Inside the clinic, the air was thick with heat and the faint scent of sickness. Patients lay on narrow beds, some shivering, others sweating heavily. The walls were crowded with old machines and worn equipment. Tom set to work immediately. He scanned each patient, marking symptoms on his data pad. It's a fever with lung infection, highly contagious, he told Mara. Masks on, gloves too. Mara nodded and handed out protective masks to everyone, even Nira and Leo. The princess pulled the mask over her face but looked skeptical. You think this cloth will stop the sickness? It helps, Tom said. Trust me. Tom's focus was on the sickest first. He prepared serum injections, mixed fluids, and adjusted oxygen levels. Mara moved fast, delivering medicine to the less critical patients. Nira stayed near the door at first, scanning the room for trouble. But when a patient began to panic, gasping and trying to pull out their oxygen tube, she moved forward quickly. Hold still, she told the patient firmly, using her strength to keep them steady while Tom reattached the mask. You fight the sickness, not the healer. Tom gave her a quick nod of thanks. She didn't respond, but she stayed closer after that. During a short break, Leo sat near the supply table sipping water. He watched Tom prepare another injection. You help them even though you don't know them, Leo said. That's right, Tom replied. Why? The boy asked. Because everyone's life has value, Tom said simply. It doesn't matter where they're from. Leo thought about that for a long moment. In the palace, you must be useful to the king. If you are not, you are ignored. Tom paused, meeting the boy's eyes. Maybe one day you can change that. The boy smiled faintly. Maybe. Late that night, trouble came again. Not from sickness, but from outside. A group of desperate traders, hearing that the clinic had fresh supplies, tried to break in. They were thin and ragged, their eyes darting nervously. We just want medicine, their leader said. We can pay. Later. You'll take it and leave nothing for the sick, Nira said sharply. Stepping between them and the door, her hand rested on her blade. One trader stepped forward, raising his voice. Who are you two? Nira moved like lightning, unsheathing. Her blade just enough for the metal to catch the light. The traders froze. Tom appeared behind her. We'll give you food and clean water, but the medicine stays for those who need it now. The traders hesitated, then slowly accepted the supplies and left. Nira sheathed her blade. You could have been hurt, Tom said. They could have been foolish, Nira replied. The next day, several patients began to recover. The fevers lowered, the coughing eased. Hope returned to the clinic. One older patient, his voice weak, told Nira, Your presence kept us safe. We thank you. Nira's posture straightened. She didn't smile, but she bowed her head slightly. It was the first open sign of respect she had shown to strangers. When the last patients were stable, Tom prepared to leave. The colony leader offered him a small crate of rare minerals in thanks, but Tom refused. Send them to the nearest trade station, Tom said. Use the credits for more medical equipment. As they walked back to the shuttle, Nira fell in step beside him. You refuse rewards again. I don't need them, Tom said. Then why risk yourself? Tom glanced at her. Because someone has to. She didn't reply right away. But when Leo ran up to walk between them, she let him take her hand, and she didn't pull away when he reached for Tom's too. Their work on Arvin 4 had saved lives, but it had also changed something else. For the first time, Nira had seen humans fight for strangers without expecting anything in return. And for the first time, Tom saw that the princess's loyalty could extend beyond her clan. The real test, however, was still ahead. The shuttle lifted off from Arvin 4, with the low hum of its engines echoing in the cabin. Tom sat in the pilot's seat, reviewing the flight path back to the medical outpost. Mara was behind him, checking the crates of unused supplies. Nira sat, near the side window, her eyes on the endless stars. Leo leaned against her arm, already half asleep from the long days at the colony. Tom glanced over his shoulder. "We'll be back at the outpost in 6 hours, if all goes well." Nira's eyes narrowed. "And if all does not go well?" Tom didn't answer right away. "Then we stay ready." For the first 2 hours, the journey was calm. Leo woke up and asked to sit near the front, where he could see the controls. Tom let him watch, explaining each glowing button in simple words. "This one steers. This one makes us go faster. That one tells us where we are." Leo nodded, fascinated. "Do you ever get lost?" "Not if I pay attention," Tom replied. "Same in life. If you pay attention, you find your way." From behind them, Nira listened quietly, though her gaze remained sharp. Halfway through the journey, an alarm began to beep. Mara leaned over the console. "We're getting a distress signal. Nearby system." Tom brought up the message. A mining ship had sent out an emergency beacon. Their engines had failed, and their life support was running low. "It's only 30 minutes off our route," Tom said. "We can help." Nira folded her arms. "Or it could be a trap." "It could," Tom agreed. "But if it's real, people might die." Nira studied him for a moment, then gave a short nod. "We go. But I will prepare." The mining ship was drifting in the shadow of a large asteroid. Its lights flickered weakly. As they approached, Tom slowed the shuttle, keeping a safe distance. "This is Tom from the medical outpost," he called over the comms. "Do you need assistance?" A weak voice replied. "Engines failed. Air's getting thin. 3 of us left." Tom turned to Nira. "Looks like it's real." She already had her blade strapped across her back. "I will go first." They docked with the mining ship. The air inside was stale and cold. Nira moved ahead, scanning every corner, her steps silent and controlled. Tom and Mara followed with portable oxygen tanks and medical kits. In the control room, they found the crew, 2 miners slumped in their seats, barely conscious, and a third sitting against the wall, shivering. "They've been breathing low-oxygen air too long," Tom said, moving quickly. He placed oxygen masks on the miners and checked their pulses. Mara worked beside him, while Nira stood guard at the door, her eyes moving constantly. Just as Tom finished stabilizing the last miner, a faint sound echoed down the corridor. Metal. Against metal, steady footsteps. Nira's voice was calm but firm. "We are not alone." Tom's head shot up. "Pirates?" "Likely," she said. Before he could reply, 3 figures appeared at the end of the corridor. They wore patched armor and carried shock rifles. The leader grinned. "Looks like we found ourselves a bonus prize." Nira stepped forward, blocking their view of Tom and Mara. "Turn around and leave." The leader laughed. "Or what? You'll—" He didn't finish. Nira moved with speed so sudden it was almost a blur. She struck the rifle from his hands and spun to kick the second pirate into the wall. The third tried to aim, but Mara, thinking fast, tossed a med crate at his legs, making him stumble. Tom grabbed the nearest oxygen tank and swung it toward the leader, knocking him off balance. Within moments, the pirates were on the floor, groaning. Nira stood over them, blade ready. Tom put a hand on her shoulder. We should lock them in a storage bay and let station security handle them. She gave a short nod, but her eyes stayed hard. You are too merciful. After securing the pirates, Tom and Mara helped the miners into the shuttle. Leo, who had been waiting anxiously, ran to hug his mother as soon as she stepped inside. You hurt? He asked. No, Nira said, resting her hand on his head. But I had to remind some people of their manners. Tom smirked. That's one way to put it. Back on the flight path, the rescued miners rested in the back of the shuttle. Tom checked their vitals while Mara monitored the controls. Nira sat beside him. You risked yourself again for strangers. And you helped, Tom pointed out. I protected you. That is my role, she said. Tom looked at her. You didn't have to come on this mission, but you did. She didn't answer at once. Finally, she said, Perhaps I wanted to see if humans were truly as reckless as my father says. And? Her lips curved slightly, the closest thing to a smile he had seen from her. You are worse. When they finally reached the outpost, station security arrived to take the pirates from the mining ship into custody. The miners thanked Tom and Nira repeatedly. One even gave Leo a small carved stone as a gift. This is for luck, the miner told him. Leo clutched it tightly. Thank you. Nira watched him with a softer look than usual, though she said nothing. That night, as the outpost settled into quiet, Tom stood at the observation window, staring at the stars. Nira joined him, her arms folded loosely. You live without walls, she said. Anyone can walk in. You help everyone who comes. That is dangerous. Maybe, Tom said. But if we build walls too high, we stop seeing the people outside. She was silent for a while, then said, In my clan, trust is given only after years. Here, you give it in seconds. I do not understand. You don't have to understand it, Tom said gently. Just decide if you think it's worth it. Nira glanced at Leo, who was playing with the carved stone nearby. Her gaze softened again. Perhaps it is. Their time together had already shown them both the best and worst of the galaxy. But neither knew that the next message they would, receive would force them to face the biggest choice yet, a choice that could change all of their lives forever. The ship, Starwind, floated like a silent giant in the black sea of space. Ryan stood at the large viewing glass, watching distant stars pass by. The hum of the engines was steady, almost calming, but his mind was far from peace. Beside him, Lyra sat with her child in her arms. The boy, Kiro, was sleeping, his small head resting on his mother's shoulder. His soft breathing was the only sound in their part of the ship. Lyra's eyes were not on the stars. They were fixed on Ryan. You are quiet, she said softly. Ryan turned to her. I am thinking. We still have many days before we reach Earth, and I wonder what will happen when we get there. Lyra tilted her head. You are worried about your people? I am worried about both our people, he answered. Your father gave you to me because he trusts me. But humans are not used to such gifts. They might not understand. Lyra lowered her gaze. I did not want to be given to anyone. But I see now. You are different from the men of my world. You are careful. You think before you speak. You even risk your life to save someone who is not from your kind. Ryan said nothing. He didn't know if her words were praise or a warning. Later, in the ship's small dining area, they ate together. The food dispenser gave them warm meals, simple, filling, but not like home for either of them. Lyra had begun to learn how to use the dispenser, but she still made mistakes. Kiro, now awake, giggled when she handed him a cup of sweet juice. The boy had adapted faster than his mother. He already knew some basic human words, thanks to Ryan teaching him during the trip. "Say water," Ryan told him. "Water," Kiro repeated, his alien accent making it sound different, but still clear. Lyra smiled, watching them. "He likes you. That is not easy. Kiro does not trust strangers." "I'm not a stranger anymore," Ryan said, handing the boy a small toy cube from his bag. "I guess I'm something like his teacher now." Days passed. The star wind crossed through calm regions of space, but there were still moments of tension. One evening, a distress signal came through the comm system. "Unknown ship requesting aid," the voice said in broken standard language. Ryan hesitated. It could be a trap. Pirates sometimes used false signals, but he also knew he could not ignore it. "Stay here," he told Lyra and Cairo, and went to the control deck. He answered the signal. "This is the Star Wind. State your position and situation." Static. Filled the channel, then a weak reply came. "Engines dead. Need repair. Supplies low." After a long pause, Ryan decided to help. He adjusted the course. Lyra, watching him work, asked, "Why risk it? They could harm us." "They could," he agreed. "But what if they're truly in need? If we turn away, we're no better than the pirates who prey on the weak." When they arrived, they found a small, damaged cargo vessel. The crew, 2 reptilian traders, were indeed in trouble. Their ship had lost its main engine and they were drifting near an asteroid belt. Ryan worked for hours, using his medical supplies to help one injured trader. Then tools from the Star Wind to fix their power core. Lyra watched him, thinking again of the strange human sense of duty. When the traders were safe, they gave Ryan a small box of rare healing herbs from their world. "For your kindness," they said. That night, when Kiro was asleep, Lyra approached. "Ryan in the quiet hallway. You are not like the warriors of my world," she said. "You fight when needed, but you also heal. My father may have seen this in you before I did." Ryan met her eyes. "Your father is a king. He thinks in terms of kingdoms and alliances. I just do what I think is right." She nodded slowly. "Perhaps that is what makes you dangerous to those who live by power alone." 2 days later, alarms sounded. The Star Wind had entered a sector controlled by a hostile alien clan, the Zorath. They were known for raiding ships and taking prisoners. On the scanner, 3 Zorath ships appeared, moving fast. Ryan gripped the controls. "Hold on!" he told Lyra, as the ship shook under enemy fire. Lyra held Kiro close. "We cannot fight. Them all. We don't have to," Ryan said. "We just need to reach the next jump gate." The chase began. The Star Wind weaved between asteroids, dodging plasma blasts. Ryan's hands moved quickly over the controls, his face calm but focused. At one point, a Zorath ship tried to block their path. Ryan pulled a sharp maneuver, spinning the Star Wind around a large asteroid and using its gravity to sling forward. The jump gate came into view, a glowing ring of energy. Ryan pushed the engines to their limit. A final blast from the enemy grazed their hull, but they made it through the gate. In an instant, the stars changed. They were now in a safe sector, The Zorath ships did not follow. Lyra let out a long breath. You risked everything. Ryan looked at her. If I didn't, we'd be in their cages now. She stared at him for a moment, then simply said, Thank you. As the star wind continued toward Earth, something had shifted between them. They were still from different worlds, with different customs and beliefs, but now there was a shared trust, born not from orders or royal gifts, but from survival and choice. And though neither said it aloud, both began to wonder what their lives would be like when they finally reached the human world. The capital of Korgath was a city of glowing towers and silver streets. Ships from many worlds landed in its docks. But on this day, the air was heavy with silence. The people of Korgath had been waiting for news. News about the rebellion, about their king, and about the strange human who had become part of their royal affairs. Taran walked with steady steps through the main hall of the palace. His eyes were tired, but his spirit was strong. He had treated wounds, negotiated with rebels, and even faced the distrust of the alien council. But now, he was here for something different. He was going to speak before the assembly. Beside him walked Princess Vera, her silver hair braided and her violet eyes calm but sharp. Little Auron clung to her hand, looking around at the tall pillars and shimmering lights. To him, this palace still felt like a strange dream. King Zorath waited on the great throne. His posture was regal, but his face showed something few had seen before: hesitation. Around him sat the High Council of Korgath, each member wearing robes marked with the symbols of their clans. Human Taran, the king's voice echoed. You asked to speak. The floor is yours. Taran stepped forward. His heart beat fast, but his voice stayed clear. People of Korgath, he began, I am not from your world. I do not know your traditions as you do. But I know life, and I know death. I have seen, both in the war that tore through your lands. I have treated your soldiers, I have helped your families. And I have seen that this war is not just about power, it is about trust. Murmurs spread through the hall. Some council members narrowed their eyes, others leaned forward curious. Taran continued, Your rebels fought because they felt unheard. Your leaders fought because they felt threatened. But both sides are tired. Both sides want their children to grow in peace. I am here to tell you that this peace is possible, if you are willing to listen to each other. Princess Vera stepped forward now. My father knows the truth in these words, she said. I once stood against him, and he saw me as a traitor. But now I stand here not as his enemy, not even as just his daughter, but as a voice for those who have been silenced. The king's gaze shifted between Vera and Taran. And what do you propose? He asked slowly. A council that includes both loyalists and former rebels, Taran said. A council that listens to the people. A council where no voice is ignored. The chamber fell into deep silence. Some council members exchanged doubtful looks. One older advisor spoke. And who would lead such a council? The rebels will not trust the king's chosen, and the loyalists will not trust the rebels. Chosen. Taran looked around the room. Then choose leaders from both sides. And if you need someone neutral, I will serve. Until you find someone your people can trust more. There was a stir of surprise at that. A human offering to help govern an alien world? Some laughed softly, but others saw the seriousness in his eyes. King Zorath rose from his throne. His voice was deep and steady. This human saved my life when I had no reason to trust him. My daughter was once my greatest challenge, but she now stands as my ally. Perhaps change is possible. The king turned to the council. I will allow this proposal to be tested. We will form the Unity Council. 3 members from the Loyalists, 3 from the Rebels, and 1 from outside our world, Terran of Earth. Gasps filled the hall. Vera glanced at Terran, a small smile of relief on her face. Little Arin's eyes widened. Does that mean we can stay, Mama? He whispered. Vera knelt to him. Yes, my star. We can stay. But not everyone was pleased. As the meeting ended, a shadowy figure slipped out of the chamber. His robes were plain, but his eyes burned with anger. A human in our council? This is an insult to Korgath, he muttered to himself. I will not allow it. Outside, the city began to buzz with the news. Some cheered the idea of peace. Others doubted it would last. But in the palace garden that night, Taran, Vera, and Arin sat together under the glowing moonflowers. Do you think this will work? Vera asked quietly. I don't know, Taran admitted. But it's a start. And sometimes a start is all we need. High above, the stars of Korgath shone bright, as if watching over this fragile new hope. But somewhere in the dark, a plan was already forming to tear it apart. The real test had not yet begun. The medical bay was quieter now. The warships of the alien fleet had left Earth's orbit, and the once busy corridors of the human space station felt almost peaceful. But inside Ryan's mind, there was no peace yet. The events of the past weeks, replayed over and over, his mission to save the alien king, the unexpected gift of the Princess Lura and her child Talon, the escape from the enemies, and the growing bond between them. It was all too much for an ordinary medic. And yet, Ryan no longer felt ordinary. Lura sat near the window, her silver eyes watching the planet below. Talon was asleep in her arms, his small breathing steady. She looked different now, calmer, warmer. No longer the rebellious princess trying to run from her duties. She seemed like someone who had found something worth staying for. You're thinking again, she said softly, glancing at Ryan. He smiled faintly. I always think. It's my weakness. She tilted her head. It's also why you saved my father, and why you saved us. Ryan shook his head. I didn't do it to be a hero. I just couldn't let someone die when I could help. That, she replied, is why you are different from most people I have met, and why my father was right to trust you. The space station's communication console chimed, breaking the moment. Ryan walked over and tapped the screen. A message appeared. It was from the alien king himself. Medic Rian, I am indebted to you more than my words can express. Lura tells me she has chosen her path. It is not the one I expected, but I respect it. Take care of her and my grandson. In return, I give you my trust and the protection of my fleet. Should you ever call for aid, the stars will answer. Ryan read the message twice before turning back to Lura. Your father approves, he said. Her lips curved into a rare smile. Then we are truly free to choose. Later that day, the 3 of them visited the viewing deck. The transparent dome above gave a full view of the galaxy, stars glittering like scattered jewels. Talon had woken up, his small hands pressed against the glass as he stared at the endless sky. Ryan stood beside him. "You like the stars?" The boy nodded, his voice quiet but curious. "Are they all worlds?" "Many of them," Ryan said. "Some are suns with no planets. Some are places where no one can live. But somewhere out there are more worlds than we can ever see in one lifetime." Laura stepped forward, her gaze softening as she looked at her son. "And now you can see them without fear." Over the next days, life on the station settled into a new rhythm. Laura began helping in the medical bay, learning human healing methods. She was quick to adapt, her hands steady and precise. The staff liked her, though some were still cautious. Talon, meanwhile, had made friends among the station's children. He spoke more now, laughed more, and no longer looked over his shoulder as if expecting danger. For Ryan, these small changes were more valuable than any reward. He had saved lives before, but this time it felt like he had built something new. One evening, as they shared a quiet meal, Laura asked, "Do you ever wish to return to Earth?" Ryan thought about it. "Sometimes. I miss the air, the oceans, but I think my place is out here now. There's too much to see, too many people to help." "And us?" she asked. He looked at her for a long moment. "You're part of that too much to see." Her eyes widened slightly, but she didn't look away. "Then perhaps we will see the stars together." Weeks passed, and the bond between them only grew stronger. Ryan was no longer just a medic. He was a guardian, a friend, and maybe something more. The alien king's ships visited from time to time, bringing supplies and news. On one such visit, the king himself sent a gift, a small star-shaped crystal that glowed faintly. "It is a beacon," Laura explained. "If we ever face danger, this will call my father's fleet." Ryan held it in his palm. The light seemed alive, like a tiny piece of the galaxy itself. "Let's hope we never need it," he said. One night, Talon woke up from a dream and found Ryan sitting by the observation window. The boy climbed onto his lap, pointing at a bright cluster of stars. "Which one is ours?" Talon asked. "That one," Ryan said, pointing to the blue glow of their star. "But one day, you'll travel farther than I ever have." Talon looked up at him. "Will you come with me?" Ryan smiled. "If you'll have me, I'll be there." The body story of the human medic who saved the alien king began to spread across both worlds. But for Ryan, fame didn't matter. What mattered was the life they had built, a life that crossed the lines of species, worlds, and past mistakes. And so, under the endless sky, a promise was made, not in grand speeches or ceremonies, but in quiet moments and shared dreams, a promise that wherever the stars led them, they would go together.